Hey up, FRR Racing DP here, and here's Australia, first of the qualifying laps of the 19 race season. Now I will admit the quality's not great, that's Twitch for you early on in the season that I used, and this has got to be my worst season for qualifying laps that I've ever had. The amount of times I miss out on the last chance of a lap and stuff like that was unbelievable. But anyway, we'll get on with Australia. You may hear some noise in the background if myself or Kev decide to speak at any point on the actual live stream. So no, Australia, it's a track I do like. I do know that this lap wasn't particularly brilliant in a few corners coming up, have a bit of a sideways moment, but there was enough time in the session to go for another lap. I went back to the pits. Here's the sideways moment coming, there we go.
Horribly wiggly.
Horribly wiggly, as I put it. Yeah, so after this lap, we see like there's 5 minutes to go. I returned to the garage, came back out, but I missed the line. Missed the line by about 4 seconds, so I didn't actually get to put another.
Send me the invite, I'll join it.
It's me talking to Kev there. Yeah, I didn't have enough time to get another lap in, which was a little bit frustrating. But hopefully in Australia for the next season we'll improve on our lap times and won't miss getting that final lap in. Especially when in practice last season we were hitting mid-24s, and then when it came to the race we didn't quite get there. On to Malaysia now then, another circuit that I do like, but again, apologies for the quality. This is a good example of why we've moved over to YouTube from Twitch. The Twitch export quality is not very good. So anyway, Malaysia, interesting turn 1 and 2, but again I know, well, from what I can remember, I didn't have the best of laps. I should have written down actually exactly what happened after each one, but this is my final lap of the session, so we'll just have to see what happens on the lap. Around turn 3, flat out heading up to turn 4, and this is also at the point pre-first patch, so had to be very cautious of what was happening with the engine temperatures, so using a lot of standard and lean on some circuits just to get the engine temperature back down. If I remember rightly, we've got a little bit wide here. Yeah, oh hello car, I think that was Dan Evs parked up there watching how it's done, or watching how it might not be done. A beautiful double right-hander here, all about the exit of the corner there, and then into the tricky turns 9 and 10 up the hill. A very tricky hairpin this, the car just wants to lose the rear end all the time up this hill. And then into my first of my bogey corners on this track, you've got to make sure you get it into that apex. And then the penultimate corner, oh Dave the Arps joined us, we may hear him in a minute. Yeah, the penultimate corner, this one coming up, hate this corner. As you can see, not quite close enough to the apex there. That's cost us a little bit of time. Up into Rich we go, DRS wide open. Let's get over to the right hand side for the final corner. And
Ray won't be able to hear you.
No, Ray won't be able to hear you, Dave, because he was doing the commentary. But anyway, up to the finish line we go. Not the best of laps, but there we are.
I mean, our lap time's shocking. We should be on the very low 36s and you should be in the 35s.
Now on to China. Another circuit I do like. I mean, to be fair, I like pretty much every one of the circuits. It's just some of the corners or some of the circuits I don't like.
Come on, out of the way, turn 1.
Oh, I'm already thinking about the car that's ahead. I don't remember who that is at this time, but I'm sure as I'm driving I know who it is.
Going wide.
And wide through 1 and 2 then, wiggly through 3. The car ahead is putting us off now. Come on, out of the way, out of the way. He's thinking about it. No, he's not. Yes, he is.
Come on, Hitman, out of the way, please.
Purple sector. Left and right here, so crucial to stay on the racing line, get your speed correct for this right-hander, as Hitman hasn't.
Come on, Hitman, thank you.
Thank you. He got a little wide, lets me through. Double left-hander, all about carrying the speed. Don't be afraid of it. And then into the trickiest corner on the circuit. Not necessarily this left-hander, but the right-hander coming up. It's all about when you're off the throttle and back on the throttle through there. And then where can you floor it? Now the nice long straight, all about top speed. It's not been looking like the worst of laps. I wouldn't say it's the best of laps either. Had a decent first sector, middle sector would have been compromised a little bit. Perhaps a little deep at the hairpin. So into the final corner. Let's take some curb if we can. Got a little bit. And across the line. On to the first of the night races then here in Bahrain. I really do like this track. Interesting one for setup though. Start, finish and second straight you need top speed, but for the rest of the track you need some grip. But brake nice and hard into turn 1. Oh, a little bit of a lock up, could have compromised us. Get on the apex curb of 2. Don't take too much of 3. Up the hill now towards 4. Interesting braking point for this one, and where you turn in can all decide how much speed you take coming out of the corner. Dip it down to second to get the turn in, and now into the fast flowing corners. I'm not up in that first sector. Nicely through the right and left, now into the hairpin. Sounds like someone's just gone, oh no! Okay, up the hill towards the double left-hander. I think it's 9 and 10 here. Tricky braking zone here. Very easy to lock it up. I've managed to avoid doing so. Now through the DRS zone. Got a car ahead. That's GT5 King. But at this part of the circuit, we don't mind having a car ahead of us. Could benefit from a little bit of slipstream down the back straight. Using all of the road. Oh, got a car off the track. It's Sergeant Hitman again. Now into the penultimate corner. Getting towards that apex. Not taking as much curb, or not taking any curb. And now the slipstream can really benefit us. Into the final corner then. Not too hard on the brakes. Need to carry the speed, which we've managed to do. You can see how much we've gained on the car ahead, so that's looking like a semi-decent lap. Now it's time for the Circuit de Catalunya. This was probably, of the first 4 circuits, the most difficult to deal with the engine temperatures pre-patch.
Yeah, nice slipstream there.
There's myself talking to Kev a bit. Yeah, so engine temperatures were really difficult around here, but we'll see how this lap goes. Nice use of curbs through turns 1 and 2. How we're going to deal with turn 3. Oh, I've had to lift off a little bit too much to get that front end in, as it now drifts wide. If I hadn't lifted off as much, would have been off the circuit there. Using all of the road into turn 4. It's part of the track I do like now down the hill. It's so tempting to slow down more for this corner than you need. Kev's moving out of the way. Thank you very much. And now into the beautiful fast left right up the hill. Easy to get it wrong and easy to get it sideways, and it was trying to go. Now the blind over the crest. Get it turned in. Really want to use a lot more curb than that. Now into the hairpin. This is where the circuit used to in olden days go on a little further around a much faster corner. Now into the corner I'm not a big fan of around this circuit. And this is where the engine overheating would really start kicking in. And now into the Mickey Mouse section. They really should go back to the old style. And now if I remember right, a bit of a cut there. Have to lift around this corner. And that compromises the time a little bit. But across the line we go. Now on to Monaco, my favourite track of them all, and if the quality looks bad, it's because it's not great and it's raining. Now, this was not a particularly good lap, and I'll be honest, I did go back to the pits, make some changes, come back out again, but I lost my front wing. So not a good lap here. So in a session where I was hoping to go and stick it on pole, and if it was in the dry, I think I probably would have done. But in the wet, I had to make a few changes to the setup, and it didn't feel too good.
You don't have to.
Now that's Farfber asking me if he had to record his race here, as he's sitting in for Kevin Monaco in these very tricky conditions. And if there was any of the circuits you don't want it to rain, Monaco is the one. So qualifying was a bit of a practice session for everybody, making a couple of tweaks to front wings, tyre pressures. So this hasn't been a particularly great lap so far. Oh, I had to take avoiding action of the wall there. So I do remember that after this lap, I was like, right, okay, let's head back to the pits, make a little change, and we'll go out and do another lap. Oh, and that's really put us off there.
Hulkenberg's just written his car off. Because it was in the middle of the road.
I know that he did write his car off there on turn 14, hit the barrier, and that really did put me off. So I was on the brakes to avoid a ghosted car there, but across the line we'll go, like I say, not the greatest of laps. And also when I came back out the pits, I was getting out of the way for a car and hit the wall, lost the wing. On to Canada now then, another circuit that I really do like, I do enjoy, but a session that was just absolutely terrible. You can see in the top right corner, this lap was the first lap that I posted, and it wasn't a good one, and I can't remember the exact reasons why I didn't improve on the lap, but obviously there was some mistakes. I had a great big dirty lockup somewhere, I do remember that now. So yeah, my qualifying lap here was not anywhere near what it should have been. Applying too much pressure on the later laps to myself, making a couple of mistakes, but that's what happens sometimes in racing. So anyway, we'll carry on for the rest of the half of this lap. I mean, it wasn't a particularly great lap. On the first couple of laps, you're just warming up, getting in, the temperatures haven't really got up, the grip's not up, so rather frustrated. Oh, Kev's,
yeah, I spotted that.
Kev's back in the car. Let's see if they carry on for a bit of a conversation.
Yes, the track's going to get warmer and the grip's going to get better.
There we go. And it is, and it did, but I just messed it up, which is really annoying because around here...
It's only a 13.2 lap time though.
So I've crossed the line, taken a 13.0, but should have been low 12s. Now, on to Austria. Now, I could say another circuit I do like. I like them all. I mean, I have an affinity with the Red Bull Ring here. Now, again, this was not a particularly brilliant lap, but if I remember rightly, it actually ends up being fairly good on lap time. So through turn 1, nice use of the curb. Kev's concentration's gone. We've got a car ahead, so heading up to turn 2 now, where Coulthard and Hakkinen once ended up face to face as David Hart moves out of the way for us. Hard on the brakes on the uphill, but trying not to lock it up. Aggressive on the power without losing the rear end. Through the second DRS zone.
A bit too slow in turn 1.
Oh, so there's already a hint that this is not the best of laps that I could have done. Too slow through turn 1. Down in sector 1. Oh,
I nearly lost it. Big
sideways there. That's a good couple of tenths lost on that particular corner. Carrying a nice amount of speed here.
Lap.
I'm already saying poor lap, but I'm up on sector 2, so I'm already thinking it's a poor lap, but I am up on sector 2, so if I've lost a couple of tenths in that sector, it should have been a much better sector. Nicely through the penultimate, nicely through the final corner, and across the line to take pole, maybe?
Well, we're where we're expected to be, but not in the sixes. I mean, in my lap, I stayed on the track, but it was not a good lap.
Time now for the home Grand Prix in Silverstone.
I won't comment on that because I'm about to start a lap.
And obviously I'm talking to Kev about something there. Okay, starting a lap would probably be the last lap of the session for me.
Wide at Cops, only by a couple of inches, but
now Kev's watching here because he was disconnected during qualifying, so Kev's not actually sat in this qualifying session, unable to post a time, which does benefit us quite greatly. But at the moment we've got Dan Ev sitting in pole position. So I'm now thinking, right, okay, come on, let's steal that pole position. Purple sector 1, get it tucked in nicely to Brooklands, into the old last corner, get it tucked in again, aggressive on the throttle, and now we're all about high speed.
There, Dave.
And I've already said I'm a bit slow out of the old final corner, so not expecting the best of second sectors here. Nicely through the old turn 1. Could have taken a bit more apex, which is why I've said a bit slow. Now Maggots Beckett's. All about rhythm, and we're off the rhythm.
That's wide.
Now I'm not.
That's cost me. That's poor line through there, Dave.
See, I'm not much off the line, but I was enough off the line to know it was going to cost me. And we're not put in a purple sector, so that does go to show that while we're going around the circuit, we do know if we've lost the 10.42 now into the last 3 corners. Need a very good final sector here if we want any chance of taking pole position. So around the final corner, up to the finish line, and what will it be? It's pole.
Poor lap that.
Over to Hungary we now go, to the Hungaro ring. A very, very tricky circuit, this one. High speed at the start finish, then the rest of it is all about what grip you've got. So hard on the brakes into turn 1. A late turn in to try and make the braking as easy and as straight line as possible. A little wiggly on the exit. Now into turn 2. Very easy to run wide here, which you really do not want to do. Now you've got to carry the speed through 4. Using the curb and then up the hill to the blind, turn 5. Turn it in, not taken enough curb but carried a decent amount of speed through the corner. Now into the longs, turn 6, and then into the tricky turn 7 and 8. All about using as much curb as you can without using too much and trying not to get sideways. And then these 2 corners, it's all about rhythm. Slower through the first so you can go faster through the second. And then high speed change of direction. What have you got? What can your car do? We're away from the apex, but we still managed to carry the speed. Car moving out of the way for us. Thank you very much, Mornay. Now into the final 3 corners. Down a little bit of a hill into the penultimate. Very easy to lock it up and go deep here. And very easy to take this corner a lot slower than you can do. And now into the final corner. Want to be early on the power, but as I've just said, a bit wide on entry. About to let the car run out now some wide. We'll see how that lap does.
and you got second.
Yep, wasn't a great lap.
From Hungary to Belgium then, over to the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. A very, very long racetrack, but crucial to get all of your apexes and braking points correct. So turn 1, hard on the brakes, nice use of the apex curb, and aggressive on the exit. A little too aggressive there, causing a bit of sideways. That's going to cost a little bit of time. Heading now down to Eau Rouge. Be brave, take it flat out, get your gear right for the entry, and carry the speed all the way through with as minimal amount of steering as possible. The straighter the wheels, the faster you go. Now down to a hard braking zone, but one where you want to carry the brakes through the corner and use this area now as braking zone. And it's all about your exit speed here. Get it turned in nice in 4th gear. Now down the hill, be careful of locking up and going wide. This is my bogey corner on this track. Early on the power, but not too early. And then a nice lift early, get it into the apex, and aggressive on the exit. Lost a little bit of time through that corner. Now Puon, all about bravery. Flicked it down additional gear there just to keep it turned in. Carry the speed on the exit. Now these two corners, it's all about rhythm. Carry the speed, little lift, carry the speed. And now down into a very tricky right-hander. It's a corner you can take faster than you might think. Don't break too much for it. And purple sector there. Now into the final sector, all about straight line speed. And then braking into the final chicane. Blanchimont, no longer a difficult corner. Easy, flat through there. Now it's all about how are we going to brake and how are you going to take the final couple of corners. Nice use of the curb. Nice use of the curb. Can we get on the power? Keeping it in a straight line as well, and short run to the line. Pole position, but not for long.
Well done there, Kev. I'd have got closer on that last lap had I not messed it up, but yeah.
And now we head over to where the Tifosi reside, and Kev isn't sounding too happy at the moment. So Monza, all about high speed and fast lap times. So let's see what kind of lap we got going here. I think this is an early lap from the session. I think I made a mistake. I ended up cutting a corner on one of my later laps. I had to back out of it and cost myself any chance of gaining on this particular lap. So nicely through turns 1 and 2, Curva Grande, not really much of a corner anymore. And then we're into the difficult braking zone of turns 4 and 5. All about carrying the speed through the first part to accelerate through the second part. And now the two fantastic Lesmos. These corners can be taken very, very quick as long as you get your turning point right, your level of braking right. And now we head flat out up towards Ascari. All about commitment this corner. Get your braking done and get it turned in and then floor it. A little slower through there than I would have liked to have been, and that's where I did improve on a later lap, but a cut on the exit ended up having to back out of the lap. So now, as we work out how long's left, around the final corner, the Parabolica, and up to the line, and this will be the one that counts. From the high speed of Monza, we now head to the night time and the slow, tricky circuit of Singapore. And as you may hear, I've just done a poor lap. So turns 1, 2 and 3 all brake, well 1 and 2's all braking zone for 3. Be aggressive on the exit here. If I remember rightly, it's not the best of laps that I do at this particular stage, but it'll be the one that counts to carry the speed through turn 5 and then the fastest part of the circuit into a nice braking zone. Can take this corner quite fast as long as you get on the apex curb, avoid crossing the exit curb. Now into a tricky little hairpin, but you've got to be aggressive on the power on the exit and then carry the speed through this corner, this left-hander, up to the Singapore Sling, which we still have the old version, not the old version, but the old version. We've still got the right-left chicane instead of just sort of a right-left corner, which is a much better set of corners. Into the hairpin. Nice tight line through there. Aggressive on the power on the exit. Now the next corner, very easy to get your braking wrong here, but another corner where you want to be carrying as much speed through the corner as possible. Take it nice and wide on the exit. And then we're all into braking points and rhythm as we head towards the stadium section. Past where PK Jr. crashed his car and someone's out the way nicely for us there. So under the stadium, carry the speed, and the engine's starting to cook a little bit, so got to be careful of that. It's going to cost some lap time, but now with only 2 corners to go, it's not looked like too bad a lap, but I don't think it's, well, I know it's not good enough for pole, but across the line we go. from Singapore to Suzuka in Japan, where we're on slick tyres, but the rain is beginning to fall, or I should say it's been falling for the whole of the outlap. So lap times aren't going to be great here, and the track is just getting wetter and wetter. We were one of the later cars to get out on track. So into turn 1, and it's going to be slippy. We don't know exactly what grip we've got, but it's running a little bit understeery as we head towards the knuckles. It's not going to be easy through here in these conditions, as the track's just, we're being told the brakes and tyres are cold, and they are. With the weather as it is, it makes it very, very difficult. We bow our head as a nod of respect as we head around Dunlop, as I'm sure we all do. And now to the two fantastic Degners, aggressive on entry and then cautious on exit. Now to the hairpin, a very tricky little corner this one. Need to get it turned, brake hard without locking up if possible, and then carry as much speed as you can, control the oversteer, and then head around the R200. Spoons coming next, and in these conditions it is a very, very tricky corner. We know that understeer's a possibility up here. And turned it in nice and aggressive, ran a little bit wide though. That's going to mean doing a lift on the exit of corner. And there we go, so that's cost us some lap time. And if anyone wants to know what that lift's about, it's an ETL lift. Now into the R130, flat out, and then into the braking zone where we know it's going to be wet, so we've got to be a little bit cautious, but not too cautious. And now the final corner, as the rain is really starting to come down, control the oversteer once again, and across the line. From Japan we now head over to Sochi in Russia, a fantastic racetrack, a difficult racetrack and a slippy racetrack. So high speed through turns 1, heading up to turn 2, we're getting the braking is so crucial. Brake hard and then carry the speed. We're allowed to use the curb on turn 3 there, and now round turn 4. Many different lines can be used. I like to get it apex late on so the car's in position for the next corner. A little far away from the apex, but carry a decent amount of speed. Now into my bogey corner on this track. That is the one that on this circuit I don't particularly like. Now, we've not had the best of first sectors there, not the fastest, but we can make up time around the rest of the circuit, carrying a nice amount of speed through there. Now into the double left. Getting the right turn in is absolutely crucial. And now the corner before the DRS. Again, crucial turn in point. Carry the speed. You don't want to use too much brakes around this particular circuit. High speed once again up to where Jean-Eric Sainz had a huge crash, and we've had a purple sector. Yeah, Sainz went straight on. Two tricky corners, the right and left off camber, and now into the most hated corner on this circuit, very off camber, easy to lose the rear end of the car.
Slow chicane.
And as I've gone round it, I know I've gone through it slower than I would like. Into the penultimate corner, nice early turn in, and then the final corner, and across the line. It could be good. It's pole. Over to the circuit of the Americas then. The tyre temperatures are good, but
Track's feeling a bit slippy at the minute.
Track is feeling a bit slippy. Now I do know this isn't the best of laps. I compromised myself through sector 1 and the beginning of sector 2. Not the greatest of turn 1s here, nowhere near the apex of the corner. And this sector 1 really does compromise the whole lap. And the wigglies coming up. Crucial to get the rhythm right. We've got the rhythm slightly wrong there. We're now going to run a little bit wider than I would like to be here. Prefer to be further left. I've had to go slower through the right-hander now to keep it on the road. That's where the time's been compromised in sector 1 and sector 2. Now down to a very open hairpin. It can carry quite a lot of speed through this particular corner. Control the oversteers, we get on the power, and then into a high-speed DRS straight.
Nice time.
Cheers, Dave.
And Kev posting his lap time there, the lap that I think does go on to get pole position. A nice entry into the left-hander at the end of the DRS, and then into the sector where I actually do well. I improve a lot. Much better sector for me compared to sector 1. And this left-hander, there's many ways you can take that corner, and there's only a couple of ways that will gain you a lot of time. Now into the long triple apex right-hander that quite a few people struggled with on this F1 2015. That's because you haven't got the grip that you used to have. Okay, into the final corner. And it's looking like a very good final sector. It's a purple one, if I remember rightly. It is.
A little concern about that. Have a look at my last sectors. Middle sector, shocking. Last sector was shocking because of the middle sector.
On to Mexico now then. A circuit that to begin with I never really liked, but once I got the rhythm I did begin to really like this track. I prefer the old version, but this one's not too bad. Now this turns out to not be a pole lap. Bartman does go and take pole position, but he did later get penalised for an ETL on his pole lap. So anyway, I'll treat this as a pole lap as far as I'm concerned. Into turn 1 then. You can carry quite a lot of speed, but you've got to lift at the right point to carry the speed through turn 3. Now into the second DRS zone, into a very tricky beginning of sector 2. Tight left, compromise the exit to take the better line through the right-hander of turn 5. Now the double apex of turn 6. And then we're into all about high-speed change of direction.
Yep.
Now Kev will be on a fresh set of tyres as he had he self-penalised him, gave himself a qualifying ban at this event for a qualifying infringement at the previous event. So we've had a purple sector 1, a purple sector 2, so into the final stadium section, carry a lot of speed on the way in and then get the car slowed down nicely, get all over the apex curbs here. Use as much of it as you can without going over the lines, and then into the final corner where we're a bit slow, and as I mentioned there, poor last corner, but across the line we'll go for a decent lap time.
Fantastic.
On to the penultimate round in Brazil then, where to be honest we were expecting to get mid 109s to high 109s.
Nicely done.
And Kev's gone and done a 109.7. So as I start my final flying lap into the centre S's, a nice entry in. Carry the throttle all the way through turns 2 and 3 into the DRS zone, and then up to the very tricky but very nice turn 4 if you get it right. Well, the rear's going. That's cost a little bit of time there as the rear steps out. And now we head up to the double right-hander as Kev moves out of the way for us. A double right-hander, it's all about being confident through these corners and then gentle on your brakes. You do not want to be locking up into the tight right, so a little bit of corruption going on there. And now into the duckbill. Again, don't lock it up. Get it turned in nice and early and on the power nice and early, but smooth on the way through. Now over to Zhongxiao. Carry the speed as best as possible and then aggressive on the power. It's all now about straight line speed to the finish line. Can we get anywhere near the 110.0s or lower? DRS wide open, short run to the line. It's a 110.0 with a purple final sector. And now it's time for the final round in Abu Dhabi. So let's go for a good lap here. A little bit of visual oddities going on there, but turn 1, Tricky corner, but one you can take a lot of speed through. Turn 2 and 3, you just need to be absolutely flat out. Get it turned in on the curb. Now down into a very interesting braking zone. Carry as much speed as you can through the chicane. Compromised a little bit here by the car on the right hand side. We don't get to use all of the road on the way in. Now down to the long straights, all about straight line speed, and this is where your setup can benefit you or compromise you, but you do have to find a balance around this track. Hard on the brakes and then cautious through the chicane. Very easy to lose the rear end on this right hander, but you don't want to be too cautious because you need the forward momentum. Into the second DRS, and Kev's huffing. It sounds like it's not going too well for him. Now into the triple chicane, the triple Mickey Minnie Mouse chicane. One I prefer to take more curb on, but if you do, you got to make sure your car can handle it. Now into the bogey corner, the left-hander. Carry as much speed through there again as you can. Then into the double apex right-hander, braking on a corner as well. Get the steering straightened up as early as possible, otherwise you get a bit of a lock-up. Under the hotel, again, it's all about rhythm and carrying the speed. Don't use too much brakes. And then into the penultimate corner, be aggressive. Could have taken more curb. And now the final corner, don't run wide. Get it turned in nice, hard on the power. And what's it going to be? It's pole.
Fantastic. That was the fastest lap.
Right, well that brings us to the end of the qualifying laps, all 19 of them from Front Row Racing's Season 5 from myself, Front Row Racing DP. And as I said at the start, they weren't all my best of laps. I don't think I actually beat a personal best on any of them. Quite a few mistakes and errors on later laps in the sessions as well. Trying to improve on them. However, Season 6 hopefully will be a much bigger improvement. So the laps that I'll be able to show will be much better. Anyway, I've been Front Row Racing DP. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you all again soon for Season 6.